Welcome to Salem, Sacramento's Community Today, focusing on topics and issues of importance to the Sacramento region. If you have questions or concerns about today's program, we'll let you know how to get in touch with us at the end of the show. Community Today was recorded earlier.
Hello, my name is Mike. Excited to be talking to Tasha Barker, organizer of Stop the DuPont Clinic Project, to tell us about DuPont Clinic's plan to open a third trimester abortion clinic in California and how we can help stop it. Tasha, thank you so much for being a part of Community Today.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Mike.
So first of all, what is the DuPont Clinic? What is going on, and why is the Stop DuPont Clinic Project such an important thing to be a part of?
Yeah, so this project is to stop the first third trimester abortion clinic from expanding to California. This is DuPont Clinic. They are from Washington, D.C., a area that doesn't have any abortion restrictions. And so they're used to, operating, making a lot of business, having abortions late, and that's how they're used to operating. And they want to expand out here to California, opening a facility in October 2023.
So what makes the DuPont Clinic different from other abortion clinics in California, and why are you so focused on this one specifically?
So DuPont Clinic is in a category completely apart from any other abortion clinic we've ever had in the state. So DuPont Clinic provides abortions through 31 weeks and 6 days, which is about 2 months after a fetus reaches viability. So right now in California, you really can't find a abortion provider after 24 weeks, which is the normal accepted point of gestation, the normal point of viability. So we really don't have these providers here now, and so DuPont Clinic would be on a whole completely different level, offering abortion long after viability. And the other really important thing about DuPont Clinic is that they don't restrict themselves to performing these abortions when it's medically necessary, as some would say. So they actually advertise on their website that you don't need a reason to be here. We'll never ask you why you're calling for a late abortion. We will do an abortion after 26 weeks, regardless of fetal indications or medical history. So they are very much into getting the business done, doing it for whoever wants to at whatever point in their pregnancy, and that is kind of what they are all about, and they want to expand out here and bring what they call their model of care out to the West Coast and start California's first elective third trimester abortion clinic. And I find, their philosophy very alarming because it shows the complete absence of any justification for terminating viable unborn children. Some people might say, we need a clinic like this for those terrible medical cases when there's something horribly wrong with the fetus and, it'd just be better to have an abortion. But DuPont Clinic, they actually think that you don't need to have a reason, that you should be able to have one at any point, at any time. And that's what they're coming to California to do.
Well, and something surprising to me, just in our quick conversation, is I being in California and how prominent abortion rights are and have been in this state. I had no idea that most of the abortion clinics in California stopped at, was it 24, 26 weeks, whatever it was that you said, that we didn't have one that available to later. So the fact that this is moving into the state is even more disappointing.
Yeah, it's very significant, I think, and that's why we have to act now to, voice opposition and let them know we don't want this. We draw the line here.
So where exactly is the DuPont Clinic planning to open?
This is going to come to 8920 Wilshire Boulevard in Beverly Hills. And so they have picked a very specific neighborhood within Beverly Hills, and that decision in itself is very objectionable and offensive. So the particular community where they're going to be opening up includes Jewish immigrants from the Middle East, Holocaust survivors and their families, minorities from many other cultures and backgrounds. And many of these people have escaped persecution and the threat of death in their own home country. And so to have the city, which was their refuge, disregard the life of the innocent and vulnerable and become the site of this cruelty is very distressing and insupportable. And the community down there is opposed to DuPont Clinic's agenda. This community has taken over this area. It's become their home. They have around 18 religious and community-sensitive institutions such as synagogues, temples, elementary schools, all within a mile or less of DuPont Clinic's proposed location. So DuPont Clinic would be very much in their face, right in the middle of their community, and is just very objectionable. not only that, but the area where DuPont Clinic is planning to open, I mean, this is Los Angeles area. There's no shortage of abortion providers. You can find like 25 abortion providers within minutes of DuPont Clinic's proposed site. So it's not like we need this here. It's not like we need another abortion provider. This is totally about making a West Coast hub for third trimester abortions.
We're talking to Tasha Barker, organizer with the Stop DuPont Clinic project. If the community is opposed to it, are you seeing some of that reflected in the city council and the different meetings and stuff that are going on? Are they even looking at this and being like, okay, well, maybe we should think twice about it?
You know, that's what we're trying to do. So we are, a big part of the Stop DuPont Clinic project is reaching out to the community and really to all Californians. And first of all, just letting them know what's happening, letting them know what's going to be moving in to their state or to their own neighborhood. And we have started discussions with city council. We've been talking to a lot of the faith leaders in the area down there, trying to let everyone know and trying to suggest different ways to keep this clinic out.
Why now? Why is the DuPont Clinic deciding that now is the time to move into California when, if I remember correctly, technically we're what they call it, a sanctuary state for abortion, where anyone can come to California to get an abortion and no questions asked, whether your parents agree with it or not?
I don't think it's a coincidence at all that they're coming to California right now. So California just passed Proposition 1 a few months ago, and that has the potential to supersede long-standing statutes that prohibited abortion after fetal viability. So as you mentioned, before Proposition 1, you could only get an abortion after viability if the mother's health was at risk. And despite the fact that has been allowed in California, for years, in actuality, we've only ever had one third trimester abortion clinic here, to my knowledge, and it went out of business. And of course, it was restricted by medical necessity at the time it was open. That was a few years ago. Another reason maybe why we don't have these clinics here already is that a third trimester abortion it requires a different technique from those performed at earlier gestations. It's a high-risk procedure. There's only like 4 or 5 clinics in the entire United States who will even do this. And then, of course, it's very rare to even try to find an abortion provider so late in a pregnancy. There's been some studies like from Kaiser and the CDC that show that only about 1.1% of abortions occur after 21 weeks. So, virtually everyone who's going to have an abortion will have it, long before viability. So I think that DuPont Clinic is choosing to come here now, number one, because of Proposition 1, number 2, because they don't have these restrictions limiting them anymore. So DuPont Clinic, they are a for-profit business. I don't support Planned Parenthood at all, but they are technically registered as a nonprofit. DuPont Clinic is not. They are a for-profit. Their business model relies on bringing in, as much as 2/3 of their clients from other states and even other countries. And I think they would have to in order to keep their doors open. And so now California has become sort of the more welcoming place for a clinic like this. No restrictions. You can do abortion as late as you want. I've heard some conversations with the DuPont Clinic staff saying that the age of gestation when they perform abortions is just getting later and later. Right now they stop at 31 weeks and 6 days, but it could totally go beyond that in the near future.
Now, do you think there's a chance, because obviously Prop 1 passed in California, it's part of our California state constitution now, that there could be, because of how vague the law is and different things like that, that there could be some court action taken or litigation that could go up to the state Supreme Court and maybe even the federal Supreme Court to change some of these rules? Or do you think it's just like set in stone and this is what we have and that's why they're moving forward?
I do believe that there is the chance for change, and I feel like this will go to the courts eventually. I was just talking to an attorney the other day who said, well, I don't believe that Proposition 1 really eliminated the viability statute. Okay, well, we don't really know until this goes to court. And so I think it's only a matter of time before someone does take it to court, and we'll just have to see then what happens. But in the meantime, we can make it clear, hey, most Californians didn't understand what Proposition 1 was going to do. And, statistically, people are opposed to late-term abortions. Most people do think it is cruel, even if they support it earlier on. So this is not something that is, wanted by most folks. And So I think that is what maybe what the future might hold, is maybe some possibility for change.
So what actions are you taking to help stop the DuPont clinic?
We're at a really important moment in the fight to protect the unborn. If we don't stop DuPont Clinic, which is the first of its kind in California, we're going to see a whole new level of abortion extremism here in California. As I mentioned, a big part of the project is just informing Californians and the community around DuPont Clinic, where they are planning to open up, and just reminding people that, we have the right to express what we want to allow in our state and in our neighborhoods. And so here at Stop DuPont Clinic, we've created a petition that's available on our website, and we're encouraging every Californian who opposes abortion extremism to sign it. And then we're working with the local community. We're asking, different faith leaders and organizations to write letters of opposition to DuPont Clinic. We're talking to the Beverly Hills City Council. We're trying to work with the developers and the real estate entities involved here, and really asking people to take a step back and ask, do we really want this in our neighborhood or in our state? And at least pose that question so people start thinking about it, and maybe this is where we will draw the line. Some folks are going to be pro-choice no matter what, but they might say this is too much. And then another point that we're trying to bring up to folks is that, so this is an out-of-state corporation. They're coming in, taking up limited space in the city of Beverly Hills, which is pretty built out already. And they're going to be opening a controversial clinic that goes against the convictions and the worldview of the residents in that particular area. And that is going to invite so much public and visible protest for years. And the community around it will suffer for that. Their business will be disrupted. It will, not be profitable for the city or for the businesses or the residents for this clinic to come in there. And that is one thing that we're trying to point out to the residents down there.
So we're talking to Tasha Barker, organizer of the Stop DuPont Clinic project. So how can people get some more information about the Stop DuPont Clinic project and support what it is that you're doing?
Anyone can sign the petition and find out more about this project by visiting our website at stopdupontclinic.org. And I'm always happy to chat with anyone who wants more information or who wants to get involved, and I can be contacted through the website as well.
Well, Tasha, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for what you're doing to help save the lives of unborn children in the state of California.
Yeah, my pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. My name is Mike. We are continuing our conversation with Tasha Barker, organizer of the Stop DuPont Clinic project. And we're joined by Susan Swift, Vice President of Legal Affairs by the Right to Life League, regarding the DuPont Clinic's plan to open a third trimester abortion clinic in Southern California. Tasha, Susan, thank you so much for being a part of Community Today.
It's good to be with you. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you, Mike. It's great to be here.
So, Tasha, before we get to Susan, can you tell us a little bit about what the Stop DuPont Clinic project is, in case listeners are joining us late?
This project is to stop the first third trimester abortion clinic from expanding to California. This is DuPont Clinic. They are from Washington, D.C., a area that doesn't have any abortion restrictions. And so they're used to, operating, making a lot of business, having abortions late. And that's how they're used to operating, and they want to expand out here to California, opening a facility in October 2023.
So Tasha mentioned that the DuPont Clinic is able to operate here in California because of Prop 1. So could you tell us a little bit more about that, Susan, and why that's significant?
Proposition 1 was a voter-approved amendment to the California Constitution. It was sold kind of fraudulently to Californians by pro-abort forces. It was a real bait and switch because they kept lying and saying that it was necessary to enshrine Roe versus Wade protections in California law. That just wasn't true because existing California statutory law and our state Supreme Court decisions have already declared abortion to be a fundamental state right. So Proposition 1 wasn't necessary to protect abortion rights in California. California is very extremely pro-abortion. But nevertheless, what these groups did was by scaring people and suggesting that somehow the right to abortion, if there is such a thing, I disagree with that completely, but that the right to abortion was going to be taken away in California, we needed to pass Proposition 1. Well, what does Proposition 1 actually say? It says the state, meaning California, the state shall not deny or interfere with an individual's reproductive freedom in their most intimate decisions, which includes abortion, use of contraception, etc. Here's the problem. That's very vague. It's undefined. We don't know what reproductive freedom means. That term has never been defined in law. It's a new term. And so what we're going to be allowing judges to do is define what does that mean. We also know from the statement that the California, Proposition 1 has made that the individual has these reproductive freedoms. Individual is very clearly defined in California law. It means a person. It's not limited by age. So now a 5-year-old has reproductive freedom. Anyone can assert his or her own reproductive freedom in their most intimate decisions. And that can include abortion. It can include transgender. It can include possibly even such things that are abhorrent as pedophilia. The notion that I, as a person, I have these desires toward younger children, and that is part of my reproductive freedom. This is all now open for debate because the term reproductive freedom is not defined, and it opens up a huge, wide swath of potential claims by all kinds of individuals, regardless of age, regardless of sexual preference, to demand that the state not interfere with their rights. That could even include the rights to genetically alter human beings by artificial reproductive technology for infertile couples. Well, what if a woman wants to harvest her eggs and sell her eggs to the highest bidder and wants to participate with reproductive technology to alter her eggs in some way? Well, that's reproductive freedom, is it not? So the state can't license, can't supervise artificial reproductive technology. These are the questions that have been opened up now because we have passed this absolutely overbroad and vague constitutional amendment to the state of California's constitution.
Now thinking, I guess playing devil's advocate to some degree on this. So, but since it is so vague and it's going to have to eventually at some point be defined by the courts, is it possible that, I know we're in California and there aren't a lot of conservative judges that would say that, but is it possible that there could be a conservative judge who would rule to tighten those regulations as opposed to letting it just be free range?
Well, that's always is anything possible? Yes, the sky can fall. But here's the problem with this. Isn't it ironic that under Roe versus Wade, one of the hits on that was, well, gee, now we have judges deciding what a woman can do with her body, right? That was one of the things, is we need to make sure that women control their bodies, right? And here we are now with Proposition 1 with such overbroad, vague language that we're going to have to go back to these men in black robes, also known as judges, to interpret what the heck this means. That's what's so crazy about this. Reproductive freedom is not defined. This is a brand new Orwellian term. It's a Marxist term that is designed to, you can drive anything through it. And it is not based in any kind of natural law or anything. Yes, of course, a judge could interpret it narrowly. I hope that a judge does, that they look at natural law and nature's God and says, well, what is reproduction? Reproduction is the natural creation of a human being from a male and a female united in matrimony through an intimate act that conceives a child, and therefore anything outside of that should not be considered reproduction, I suppose. Someone can interpret it that way. Is that the way to bet in Vegas? No, that's not. What we're going to see is, I believe, we're going to see all kinds of aberrations. We're going to see abortion as, to back up, the state Proposition 1 that is now part of our California state constitution includes, as the definition of reproductive freedom, it includes abortion and use of contraception. So we know that abortion and use of contraception is already part of this reproductive freedom. We just don't know what else they're going to ram through the courts to expand that right. I don't think a conservative judge could get in and use Proposition 1 to restrict abortion, because we already have Proposition 1 defined as to include abortion and use of contraception. Now we're just going to see, well, how many other things are courts or litigants going to suggest that should be included in this very broad definition of what is reproductive freedom. You have to understand, reproductive freedom goes far beyond abortion.
We're talking to Tasha Barker, organizer with Stop to the DuPont Clinic, and Susan Swift, Vice President of Legal Affairs with the Right to Life League. So California also recently enacted AB 2223, which further reduced protection for infants who survive an abortion. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
AB 2223 was a bill that was ostensibly written by Buffy Wicks, Assemblywoman Buffy Wicks, and it said that the state shall not prosecute a woman for a miscarriage or a stillbirth. That's laughable. Duh, right? An abortion, which we all know what that is. That's the intentional killing of a baby in the womb before delivery. Or the fourth category was perinatal death due to causes that occur in utero. Well, what does that mean? Perinatal it means after birth, just like prenatal means before birth. Perinatal means after birth. So perinatal death is a death after birth. So we're talking about a baby born alive after birth, and the death of the baby is due to causes that occurred in utero. What does that mean? That's also very broad and vague. The Right to Life League, I personally went up to Sacramento many, many times and argued vociferously in front of state legislators, saying this term it's not defined. It allows anything to come in. But clearly, what they're trying to do is they're trying to justify botched abortion. So if you have you've taken an abortion pill and the baby is born alive, and we know cases that they're prematurely born alive and they're surviving. Well, what if they die 3 or 4 days later? That's happened, by the way. The baby is born alive. It dies 3 or 4 days later. Well, AB 2223 says we cannot investigate the cause of this death. It prevents the coroner from investigating, from prosecutors from investigating the cause of the death, so long as the woman has consented, and anyone who assists her in obtaining her preferred pregnancy outcome, i.e. a dead baby, they cannot be prosecuted either. They can't be investigated, nor can they be investigated civilly. And even if if you or I, we know that there's maybe a baby that's been, born nearby our neighbor, and if we go up and we ask, the neighbor, well, what happened? The baby should be about 2 weeks old. Well, what happened? Well, the baby died. Oh, well, my gosh, what happened? What is the cause of death? Right? If we report it, if we think maybe something's gone wrong, we can be personally sued for investigating, for merely suggesting and investigating to get to the bottom of why did this baby die, if the mother has given consent and prefers this baby to be dead. So it prevents it. The perinatal period is up to 28 days after birth, because that's defined in California law. California law defines the perinatal period as from the moment of conception through the first month of the baby's life. So this baby can die due to causes that occur in utero, whether that's a botched abortion, surgical, whoever, or if we just allege that it happened, you see, we could smother the baby and then just claim that it was a cause due to causes that occur in utero, and no one can investigate how the baby actually died. Because to investigate that will trigger a civil cause of action for $25,000 plus attorney's fees and costs if I dare ask about it. So what this is, AB 2223 covers up infanticide through the first month of a baby's life. That's the bottom line of what it does. And it's law. It's law now.
So we're starting to see some of the implications of Prop 1 by clinics like DuPont Clinic choosing to come here. How far does it go, and what else is now possible?
Well, since Prop 1 has now defined reproductive freedom to be a fundamental right, and since California has already decided that abortion is also a fundamental right, it makes sense that DuPont, which is in the business, I guess, of chemical abortions, wants to set up shop here so that they can have late-term, third trimester, chemical abortions, surgical abortions, whatever, and there can't be any investigation as to, and third trimester is clearly viable. This child can live outside the womb without much assistance. Why not just simply deliver the child at, 30 weeks or 36 weeks, right? Why not just deliver the child and allow the child to live? Why must we kill the child in the womb? Because there must be money involved. Because chemical abortion is about the money. And that's what Planned Parenthood and I am assuming DuPont and all of these providers of chemical abortion and surgical abortion, I think they're in the money for it. They're in business. They make money off of abortions, and Planned Parenthood is also making money off of transgendering surgeries and altering, the hormone chemicals. That is their new business model. So obviously this is about making money off of the killing of infants in the womb.
So how can people get some more information about the Stop DuPont Clinic project and support what it is that you're doing?
Anyone can sign the petition and find out more about this project by visiting our website at stopdupontclinic.org. And I'm always happy to chat with anyone who wants more information or who wants to get involved, and I can be contacted through the website as well.
Well, we've been talking to Tasha Barker, organizer with the Stop DuPont Clinic, and also Susan Swift, Vice President of Legal Affairs with the Right to Life League. Thank you so much, ladies, for the work that you are doing to help protect the kids in California.
Thank you for allowing me to speak to you today. It's really a privilege and an honor.
You've been listening to Community Today, a public service of Salem Media Group. If you have comments or questions, send them to us at Salem, Sacramento, 1425 River Park Drive, Suite 520, Sacramento, 95815. Or reach out through the station website. Thanks for listening.